Hey, Kay, are we ready for this?
Yeah, how are you doing?
I'm okay. I mean, we've done our prep, so you know where I'm at, and I know where you're at. So, shall we get them in?
Yeah, I think we're ready.
Okie dokie. Hi, Geoff.
Right, hi. I thought I'd disappeared then.
And here's our Tommy. So, thank you both. First and foremost, I just want to say that because I know it's not easy to come to a mediation. You know, who wants to do that on a Friday morning? But Kay and I really recognize the challenges of doing this, but we're also so pleased that you've got this far because it is a big thing. So so thank you for that. Right, so we've how are you both feeling? How are you feeling, Geoff?
Well, I'm pleased that you actually approached me, but I'm pretty annoyed actually. So I'm ready to let fire.
Okay. And Tommy, I'm going to ask you first how you feel.
I don't really see what the problem is, to be honest. Like, you know, I don't really know what I'm doing here, but I'll engage with it, and yeah,
Okay.
bit annoyed, I think.
Okay.
And you're annoyed.
Okay. So it looks like we're in for a lively one today, Kay, eh? Well, we did, Kay and I both kind of went through this when we had our individual sessions with you. Now, as you know, we've only brought you together because we felt that there was every chance if the two of you got together that you'd be able to find a resolution. I know there's a bit of frustration and everything. It wouldn't be normal if there wasn't. But if I could ask you both for today to remember why you agreed to come to this joint session. And you never know, we might get through it and you might even come up with an agreement at the end of it.
Sorry, were you trying to be creative?
Oh, that's all we need. So, that being said, are we ready to mediate?
I'll give it a go.
I'll give it a go. That's what we
That'd
call
be
the golden grunt, Tommy, and we're happy with the golden grunt. Okay, so do you have any questions before I kind of do a little bit of preamble about what's going to happen?
Am I going to be always talking with four of you? Because I want to be able to talk to and share stuff without Mr. Obnoxious hearing.
Okay, well, actually, at this point, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put you into separate rooms for a minute, just to check in again around the willingness and perhaps talk about language and stuff. Is that okay?
Yeah, great. Thank you, Irene.
So, not a problem. So, Geoff, I'm going to put you... Okay, how do I open a room up here? I do know how to do it. I just don't seem to be able to do it at the moment. How am I going to put Geoff and Tommy into their own rooms? I'll have to send you to the waiting room, Geoff, but I'll come back for you.
Sorry, Irene, I didn't actually hear the last of what you said. You broke up. It was slightly robotic. So I got the last two words of it.
Okay, I'm struggling to get them into a room, but that's okay. That's okay. These things happen.
Sure.
So Tommy, I'm going to put you. No, actually, Tommy, what we'll do, we'll hold on to you for a minute, and then I'll put you in the waiting room, and I'll bring Geoff back. So I just want to check in with you. How are you feeling now, having heard what Geoff has just said?
Well, I didn't like when he called me Mr. Obnoxious.
Yeah, I didn't think you would.
yeah, that was a bit mean, but I sort of bit my tongue, and yeah, but I just think he's being a bit of a prick, really. Like I've come here and I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, so yeah.
Okay. So the thing is, there's no way in the world that Kay and I want to make this any worse. So we're going to go and have a chat to Geoff, and just check in his willingness again, because we might stop this if we can't get some more willingness, because you know, I'd never make it worse. What's your feelings, Kay?
Yeah, I think that, you know, the thing to stress is that everyone did come in saying that they had things they wanted to say, but the important thing to note there is they need to be productive and constructive. As Irene said, we don't want anyone to walk away feeling as though we've actually made things feel worse for anybody at this point. So Tommy, if you're still open to going into the session together and talking, and you feel as though, you know, you're going to be able to remain pretty calm and collected during the session, I think that if Geoff feels the same, we can still go ahead.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't be here if I wasn't willing to do it. But you know, I'm not going to sit here and just be called names and everything. I'll rise if I'm prodded. You know, so but I'm here. You know, I'm happy to do it.
Okay. Well, we really appreciate that. So bear with us for a few minutes. We'll just have a check-in with Geoff, and then all being well, we'll bring you both back in. And if not, we'll let you know that we're going to stop the mediation. Right. Okay, lovely. Right, so I'm going to send you back to the waiting room, and we're going to bring Geoff back. Here we go. Hi, Geoff. So sorry about that, but I just need to check in with you about your willingness, because as you can imagine, it's probably not the easiest thing to be called Mr. Obnoxious. And I get it that you're frustrated and that there's a lot going on for you, but we won't continue with the mediation unless we see that you both are willing to have a respectful, kind of way of talking to each other.
Yeah, no, Irene, I agree. I wanted a mediation. When I share with you, because I don't know how much you know of the situation. So occasionally I do use stronger language, but you get frustrated. And if this guy is not listening, then, you know, I'm sure when you hear what I have to share with you, you'll empathize with me and see what the situation is.
Yeah, well, we did hear you when we had our individual session, Geoff, you know, and at that time, I know it was a couple of weeks ago, but you did seem really interested, really keen. You know, both Kay and I were happy to invite you and Geoff, you and Tommy, to a mediation, because a joint session, because like I said to you at the time, there would be no point in bringing two people together if we thought it was just going to ignite further conflict. So we would never do that.
Yeah, I know, but it hasn't since our last conversation, Irene. It's got worse. So I totally agree. This is a good opportunity through a mediator to perhaps for him to see sense.
Well, lots of sensible things happen during a mediation. Lots of minds get changed and perspectives change and all of that. So that's what we're hoping for. And it does have a really good high success kind of, what's the word I'm looking for there, Kate?
Success rate.
Success rate. It's a great start. Mediator can't talk. So, Geoff, are you ready for us to start the joint session?
Yes, I'm ready. I'm ready.
Okay.
I put all my work to one side, and so you've got my total attention.
Okay. Just to let you know that, you know, we have to do what we say we'll do, and we offer you both a safe space. So we may end up stopping it again, depending on you know, the use of language and naming and blaming.
I suppose the other thing to stress, Geoff, is if you are feeling as though you need a moment, or you're feeling a little bit aggravated by something that Tommy has said, or just your own discussion with us, and you're feeling as though you're getting to that point, you can just raise that to us, take a little break, go and grab a glass of water, cup of tea, and just have a moment away too. We don't want you to feel as though you have to stay in the mediation continuously if it feels as though you could do with 5 minutes or even just a minute away from the camera.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Kate.
Okay, so all that said, are we good to go?
Good to go.
Good to go, right. So what I'm going to do, Geoff, I'm going to bring Tommy back in from the waiting room.
Well, when I thought I was going to talk to you first, you want to have a joint session, as they call it. Is that right? Is it a joint session?
Yeah, well, that's normally the way it would work, because we've already had the individual sessions that we will bring the two of you together again. I mean, is that going to be a problem for you, Geoff?
No, you're the expert on the process, so let's see how it goes. If I want to share more stuff with you, then I will indicate, and perhaps we can speak privately then. So no, yes, that's fine. Lovely. That's fine. That's fine.
So when I get you both back together, we will talk and explain what's going to happen next. And if there's any problems at that stage, then just let us know.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, wonderful. Right, so are we ready? Ready as we'll ever be. Here we go. Hi, Tommy, welcome back.
Hello.
Hello, hi. So we're all in agreement that we're here to look for a solution today. It may well be in the making already. And Kay and I have always got crossed fingers. So basically what I was trying to say before is that today's a really, really great opportunity for the two of you, because it's not normal that you'd be offered kind of a safe space to have a difficult conversation. And basically that's what you're going to have today. So we're hoping that the process will support you both to say what needs to be said. So you will have what we call in the trade UST. Basically, it means uninterrupted speaking time. So Kay and I have agreed in our preparation prior to this session that we would like Geoff to talk first. So basically, Geoff, you will get the opportunity to tell us in about 5 or 6 minutes exactly what's been happening. And this is more for Geoff, for Tommy than us. And then what we'll ask, and then I would ask you 4 questions, or actually Kay is going to be doing the Inca questions. So we will ask you 4 questions. And then we would, sorry, I interrupted you. I'm getting a cup of coffee delivered, but it's badly needed. Thank you very much. So then we would, where was I, Kay?
You were talking about we would then move into Inca.
Yes.
After Geoff.
Yes, thank you. So basically, this opportunity for you is going to be not a one-off, because we're always willing to do it again. It's going to be the best opportunity you're going to have to finally get some resolution. So just to remind you both that it is confidential. We've lost our Tommy. Here he is. That it is confidential. So whatever we talk about today, we would ask you both to keep it confidential, and Kay and I will be keeping it confidential. The only thing that we would ever come out of mediation is the outcome. That's all the housing officer who's made the referral needs to know, just the outcome. So they don't need any content, they don't need any details. Is that okay?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And just to remind you about the principles of mediation. So as you know, we are neutral. We don't take sides. I've mentioned confidentiality already. It's a voluntary process, which means that either one of you, or indeed myself or Kay, could stop the mediation at any point. And we do have rooms. So if you want and you feel you need a little bit of space, please just let us know. So rather than leaving the Zoom call, if we could just put you back into a waiting room, that would be just the ideal thing. Is that okay with you both?
That's fine.
Now, I'm getting fed up of the sound of my own voice. So one last thing to say, we will both be taking notes. We did this in the individual sessions, as you know. It helps us to think in the way that we kind of need to process through things. And it makes sure that we get everybody's account, you know, in the most accurate way. But as you know, we'll destroy these at the end of the day. We don't need to keep them for any reason. Okay, what have I forgotten?
I think you've done a pretty good job, Irene. I'm fairly happy. If Geoff and Tommy are happy, then I'll introduce a little bit more about the uninterrupting speaking time, and then Geoff, I'll invite you perhaps to go first, as we discussed.
Lovely. Well, I'm going to shut up then, and I'm going to just start taking notes. So thank you both.
So Geoff, Tommy, just before we launch into the uninterrupting speaking time, just to stress that obviously this is one of the most important parts of this session. It's the component that allows you both to really explain what your experiences have been and what's been happening and what you're hoping to get from this. And the most sort of key facet of that is it does need to be uninterrupted so much as possible. So if you do feel as though, Tommy, you'd like to speak whilst Geoff is in his uninterrupted speaking time, or vice versa, if you could instead perhaps jot down a note, either, you know, on paper or just make a mental note in your head, and then there'll be an opportunity after the uninterrupted speaking time that we can pose those questions and have those discussions. It's not that I don't want you to listen and be able to respond. It's simply that whilst they are in their speaking time, it's really important that we respect that. And myself and Irene are also going to respect that rule, and we won't interrupt. So please do, so much as possible, please try and conform with that requirement. It's important for us that you feel as though you've had the opportunity to explain everything you need to us, and that can mean different things to different people. But I would request that we try and remain calm, and if you do need a moment away, even during your own interrupted speaking time, or during somebody else's, please do just raise that to us, and you can obviously take that. It doesn't have to be continuous uninterrupted speaking time. It can have a little moment's pause if you need that. So with that, if you're both happy, Geoff, I'll hand over to you. Irene first.
I'm so sorry, but
Yeah.
I've just realized before we start this precious uninterrupted speaking time that it's important for you to know that the person who brought my coffee is my son, and he's now outside. So this is confidential. And just on that, if we could just check in, are you both, is there anybody else in the room?
No, you talked about confidentiality, but I do live with my partner. So can I share with her what's being discussed?
Yes, of course you can. Does your partner want to be in the room for this?
No, she's too
No.
stressed out.
Okay. And Tommy, can we just check in who's with you?
No, and I'm on my own at the moment. So I'm allowed to talk to my missus about it and share with my housing officer and all that stuff once it's all over, am I?
Well, we ask you to keep it confidential, but if Geoff was to give you permission to talk about it with your housing officer, then that's perfectly okay. But we do ask everyone to sign up to the confidentiality, so that, I mean, you may well both agree that you want to talk to your housing officer, and that's fine. But if one of you says,
No,
yay,
I don't have a housing officer. Sorry, Irene, I don't have a housing officer.
Of course you don't. Of course you don't.
He's too good for housing now.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Here we go again, Kay.
I think,
Right.
Geoff, Tommy, I think obviously
right.
the housing officer we're referring to is the housing officer that referred you both for this mediation session. So Geoff, I realise that she's not your housing officer, but obviously she's sort of linked to you both in that one way. But I think that Irene and I will both agree that perhaps those sorts of decisions as to whether or not we feel comfortable to share information beyond the four of us perhaps are best to discuss and explore after we've gone through the uninterrupted speaking time.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Okay. Right. Over to you, Kate.
Geoff, I will hand over to you if you're happy to start with your speaking time. And Tommy, Irene, myself, we will all try and keep quiet as much as possible.
Thanks you. Thanks, Kay. Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. I have been approached by this housing officer, but I don't think Tommy doesn't appreciate what's going on here. I've been living here for 3 years with my partner, and we had a very pleasant life. I've owned this property for 3 years. I've moved in here. Most of my time is working from home, and I occasionally go into London, maybe once or twice a week. So this is my home and office. And what time? I should have it in my memory, but about 6 weeks ago, maybe 8 weeks ago, there was a huge noise, and I was wondering what was going on. And clearly there was people moving in upstairs, which I expected it, because prior to that, there was a very nice old lady, Doris, who had lived there for many years. And she used to love lovely cooking. I used to smell the bread and the cakes, and she used to bring down for me, which was great when I was working. And then I used to go and help her if she had some problems in her flat. So we had a great relationship, but sadly she died, and then she didn't have any family. And so then I think for some reason then the property, it may have been the landlord of the whole premises, decided to, which I still don't understand, decided to give the property to the housing association. And don't get me wrong, you know, I know people have to live everywhere, but I'm a property owner, and then they sold it to the housing association. Then you got people coming in who don't have any money, are just basically renting and sponging off the rest of us. So of course, what happened is we've got this guy, Tommy, which name sums it all up. And eventually, well, we didn't have any communication to start with. They moved in, and immediately I worked from home. There was a lot of noise during the day, and I thought, well, fair enough. But then after 10 o'clock, there was more noise. So I'd been working all day, sometimes had to work in the evening, and then there was more noise. And so going on, he had friends, parties, and then 2 o'clock in the morning, it was still noise. I went up there a few times and banged on the door and just got abuse. So it's very stressful for my partner, and she can't, well, she doesn't spend a lot of time at home now because it's too much action, you know, too much conflict, tension. I don't smoke, my partner doesn't smoke, but also now we've got smoke in the stairwell. So as soon as we open the front door, this smell of smoke hits you, which is not good for our health. And if you want to smoke, go and stand outside. It's a communal area, and I don't think you should be allowed to smoke, especially when you've got private owners in the block. What else has gone on? Dear. I have kept a diary of it because someone told me that, you know, it's good to go then to the housing association and say this is what's gone on. But it's so sad when we've had a great relationship with this poor old dear Doris, and then suddenly in the last 6 weeks, it's horrendous for us. And what's our alternative? Moving? I don't want to move. This is a very convenient. I've been here for 3 years. I enjoy the area, and it's only since Tommy's moved in that it's gone downhill, and I'm not happy at all. But I don't know what the solution is. I don't know what to do apart from Tommy moving out or me selling, which is two extremes. Well, mine's extremes. I think it's fairly easy for Tommy to move out. I think the housing association should go and find him somewhere where perhaps noise is acceptable, but it's certainly not in this block.
Okay, Geoff, Thank you for that. So now I'm just going to ask you 4 brief questions, and if you're able to share your answers with us, it will then help in the next stage of the mediation, once we've also given Tommy the opportunity to go through his unique speaking time. So I'm going to ask you if you can share with Tommy the impact that this conflict is having on yourself and your partner.
Impact is inability to sleep because we've been woken up. We don't have a quiet time because you're always conscious what's the next noise, whether it's walking, whether it's scraping tables, chairs, the music. So the impact is a very stressful time on us, and my partner, who is now doesn't want to be in the house. So any opportunity, I'm sure it's not me, she spends time out of the house. So that's a huge impact when you've had a very nice 3 years, up to 6 weeks ago.
Okay, thank you for that. And what is it you need to get from today's session in order to feel that this conflict is resolved?
I want a recognition of the impact that Tommy is having on other people's lives. And perhaps when he accepts the impact, he may then decide what he can help to resolve it.
Okay. Next question would be, what would be the consequences if you did not get your needs met today?
Phew, well, I've said seriously moving, but how much the cost of that today? You know, we have to move house. That's stressful in itself, but to move your home is not simple. As I say, this is very convenient to my extended family as well, my work. But that's the only solution I have. I just don't know what else can I do.
Thank you for that, Geoff. And then the final question I have is that if you did get your needs met, what might the consequences be then?
Well, I'm sure if Tommy recognises what he's doing wrong, we'll be able to live together. I live very happily with Doris. I don't see why we can't live together again. A recognition of mutual respect.
Is there anything else you'd like to add, Geoff?
Not at this stage, Kay. No, it's all fine. I think that's enough to share. I want to hear from Tommy now what he thinks of this, because I don't think actually he appreciates what's gone on. So this is why I wanted the mediation, because I just don't think he didn't engage before. So let's hope he's just listened to me, or he's got his headphones on.
Okay, well, thank you for sharing that with us, Geoff. Just in your uninterrupted speaking time, it's helpful to have heard all of that. Tommy, obviously now I'm going to invite you to do the same. So again, Geoff, Irene, myself will try and remain as quiet as possible. And Tommy, if you could just explain to us, similarly to what we posed to Geoff, kind of, you know, what's been happening and what you'd like to share with the mediation session today. And then I'll pose those same 4 questions once you've given us your information.
Well, yeah, I mean, I just thought it's an absolute load of rubbish. What this guy hasn't said is that day one, when I came to this new place, he came storming upstairs, and he was already, when I was moving in, he was talking about the noise. I said to him, mate, I'm moving in, like, what do you expect? And then he's grilling me about what I do for a living, who I am, and whether I'm a housing association tenant and all this kind of stuff. And he's just got this massive chip in his shoulder. It's pretty clear he thinks that he's way better than me, and he just doesn't want someone like me living in the same block as him because of his property prices, and, you know, he's got his fancy friends around and all that kind of stuff. And it's just, he quite clearly just doesn't want me living next door to him. I'm not making, I thought, yeah, and the noise, I don't make a lot of noise. I don't know what you're talking about. I have friends around for the West Ham games occasionally, and there's a bit of a party atmosphere, but it stops at 10, 11 o'clock. And we move for, you know, just like any normal person would, but we're not making loads of noise. I don't understand where that comes from. I'm sure that his neighbours downstairs probably have the same thing. I mean, he lives directly below me, so I don't think I'm anything terrible. I've never had any complaints at all in, you know, I'm 30 years old, I'm not a kid. I've never had any tendency complaints or anything like that before. And I just think he's just making stuff up because he doesn't like me. And smoking, I mean, I smoke in my flat, and occasionally I might have, you know, been finishing off a cigarette when I leave the door, something like that. But I don't chuck them away in the hallways or anything like that. I'm not standing outside his house smoking. Again, I think he just doesn't like the fact that I smoke, and he does not have the right to tell me not to smoke in my flat. I'm allowed to do that under my tenancy.
But
So,
not in a stairwell.
Jeff, sorry,
I'm
sorry to interrupt you both, gents, but obviously, as we discussed before, it's really important that Tommy gets the opportunity, like you had, Geoff, before, to have the uninterrupted speaking time. I can appreciate, Geoff, there may be some things that you want to discuss between you, but if we could just note them down or make the mental note, you know, I'm happy also to put a little star and to perhaps, you know, help loop back there later on my own notes too. But it's really important, Geoff, that we can give Tommy the same opportunity that you had, please.
Okay.
it just shows,
Okay.
he's just, you see what I mean? It's just like lack of respect. He doesn't respect me, so he's happy just to interrupt me. And it's exactly what he's like in the block. He just comes up. There's no, how you doing? Nice to see. You know, he's just, from day one, he's just been really nasty. And it's frankly, it's really starting to piss me off. I've come here and he's interrupting me. I mean, but yeah, I mean, he's not an angel either. He's you know, he calls me names and he shouts at me in the stairwell and things. And honestly, I just, you know, I try and ignore him. But if talk about antisocial behaviour and everything, he's bloody terrible. He's I've never been shouted at in my own house, you know, my own communal area before. It's outrageous, frankly. And my missus, if she was here, she'd say the same thing. Like he's cornered my missus in the stairwell, and he's had a go at her really loudly, and she came up afterwards and she was really scared by it, you know. And he does not have the right to do that. It's bloody ridiculous. And that's, yeah, I mean, I don't really know what else to say, to be honest.
Well, thank you for sharing all that with us, Tommy, and yeah, thank you for the information you have given. It's really helpful. So to pose those 4 questions that I posed to Geoff now to you also. So can you share with Geoff the impact that the conflict has had on you and your partner?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's just stress. Like you know, I'm not working at the moment, but I've always worked hard, and I'm like, I don't deserve to be spoken to by some pompous bloke the way he speaks to me. And my partner and I are both getting stressed. He's lack of sleep because of the noise. I mean, you know, same thing. You know, being spoken to like that really makes you feel a bit riled up, and it's just not having a good impact on my quality of life.
Okay, thank you. So the next question was, what is it you need to get from today's session to feel as though there has been some resolution?
Well, I don't think it's going to happen, but I want him to just be a bit more respectful towards me. You know, not be so rude and confrontational all the time. Treat me with a bit more respect, and my missus as well, and just stop exaggerating everything to housing. He's trying to get me he's trying to get me kicked out my flat and everything. He's just ramping up everything. It's like, I'm not noisy. I don't regularly just smoke in the stairs and everything. So I just want him to stop making stuff up, frankly.
Okay, so what would the consequences be if you didn't get your needs met today?
Well, I can see what he's trying to do. He's trying to get me kicked out, and because he's not happy about me living there. So I guess worst case scenario is I get kicked out, and it's you know, which isn't really fair because I like the flat. It's you know, and it's yes, I like it here. So yeah, my missus has issues you know, because she works and things. So where we were before, it was a bit too far away. So, but this is really suitable, and you know, so I really hope I don't have to move. And I think if anyone should move, it should be him. Like, he's the one who's complaining.
And so, Tommy, what would the consequences be if you did get your needs met?
Oh, well, if I did get my needs met, well, if I did get my needs met, I'd be happy. I mean, you know, because he'd be talking to me with respect, and I wouldn't. I don't have any issues with him. You know, he's the one who's coming up to me and, you know, complaining about me. So, yeah.
Okay, and is there anything else that you would like to add just before we close the session?
No, I don't think so. Just, yeah, I really hope that actually what I say gets taken on board, rather than just listening to him.
Okay, well, thank you both for that. Irene, do you have anything you want to add? Otherwise, I'll kind of move into reflecting back on what's been said in these last two speaking slots.
Take it away, Kay.
Sure. So I think, you know, it's really helpful that you've both been so communicative in those last two sessions, and I appreciate that it's not easy, especially with each other on the line. It's, you know, it's difficult the best of times. So thank you both for that. I think a lot has been said, a lot has been explored, but the important thing to note is how many commonalities there are in your experiences with each other, but also with, you know, just your general home situation. And so I want to explore them a little bit and just to highlight those, I suppose. So the needs that have come from both of you are quite clear and actually very much aligned in many ways. So you've both spoken about a need for recognition from the other and a sort of an implied level of understanding from the other with regard to the impact this has been having, but also your own circumstances. There's a need for communication that you both expressed. Now, Geoff, you sort of explored that in discussing the communication and the relationship you used to have with Doris when she lived there. Tommy, you've mentioned it also in your own previous relationships with tenants, that there was a sort of a fairly friendly, communicative relationship with prior tenants, and you both perhaps like to see that return in this instance also. Sleep and the noise is impacting you both quite substantially, and it's causing in both households stress for yourselves and your partners. So that's something that that has been mentioned by both of you, multiple times. And this isn't just yourselves, actually, it's also your partners that you referenced. And on both sides, there is a partner here that is not present in this session today, but also sounds as though they are quite focally involved and is also experiencing this with you. And that's adding to your desire to have a resolution come out of today's session. So I think it's important to note that also, that, you know, there's a voice on both sides that we're trying to represent here, but that is absent for you both. And just generally the sort of desire to be able to settle into your home as a happy home for your families, and to not have the unpredictability of the relationship between you impact on a continued basis. And it's something that you've both referenced. You know, Geoff, you've been in your home for 3 years, and you've mentioned you were very happy there before. Tommy, you mentioned that, you know, moving to this home is really kind of a positive start for you and is helpful for your partner, and was something that you were hoping you could settle into quite quickly and remain there for some time. And so the desire for this situation to resolve and for it to become a much more peaceful living situation is, across the board here, the fundamental driver, I think, for this conversation. I think it is important for us to also note, if you feel I've missed anything in that, if you feel I have missed anything. Irene, first, I suppose I'll throw the ball across to you.
That was perfect, Kate. Okay, perfect.
Geoff, Tommy, do you feel that I've missed any, you know, any fundamental need there? Is there something that you would like me to add, or us to consider also?
Well, I want no, I think you've summarized it, but also want you to also come up with some solutions. I don't, you know, you come up with a solution with Tommy.
So I think that that solutions are obviously something we've both just discussed in our unique speaking time, in the uninterrupted speaking time. And I think it's something that you both actually touched upon. So home moves were one solution that's obviously not the preference in either side, nor an easy solution, actually. You both referenced, you know, it's costly, it's stressful, and so that need to reduce the stress would actually be entirely countered by that solution, if we were to call it that. And so, you know, we have already touched upon a couple of options, I suppose, that have been considered, but yeah, I mean, for certain, we would like to now look at other options that we can think of. So if we go through those needs, just to reiterate again, obviously, the primary drivers are to have a happy, settled home. In order to have a happy, settled home, you've both expressed you need to have a level of recognition and understanding from one another. You need to have less stress and more respect in your relationship with one another, and that goes both ways. And that you would like to have less noise interruption and more sleep, fundamentally. So how could we, if we take them one at a time, so if we look at sleep as the primary topic to discuss here, for both of you, how do we feel that cumulatively we could help to ensure that the noise impact both ways is improved, and that if there were another incidents where perhaps the noise elevated a little, and either Tommy, you felt that you would like to have the ability to deal with that with Geoff, or vice versa, Geoff, you feel you'd like to you know, discuss with Tommy a noise impact that you're having, how could that be approached differently than it has been previously to help us to continue on the resolutory path that hopefully we're now on?
I think it's...
So Geoff, Tommy, what we're now going to move into is the exchange session, or section of this session, should I say, and that's where and Irene will introduce it a little bit in more detail, but it's where really you have an opportunity to commence that discussion just between yourselves, and Irene and myself will kind of pull back a little bit.
Great.
Yeah.
Thanks, Kate, and thanks, Irene. I think it's been most useful, so thank you for that. And I do want to move forward. I don't want to move house, and my respect that Tommy and his partner, I appreciate. And I didn't know he wasn't working, and his wife was, so I know that's stressful as well. So Tommy, you know, all I want to do is be able to talk and have a relationship which is based on respect as well. I can be respectful, but it's got to be on a mutual basis and proven. So of course, sleeping is the biggest issue at the moment. So, you know, can we have some sort of agreement that certain time of night, that's the quiet time? So at least then, if that works, we can just step forward with, you know, perhaps then having that, but at least then we can get rest. You know, what do you think, Tommy?
Well, I mean, I also want to move forward and yeah, just improve things. I don't want to move either. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't think I'm that noisy, but absolutely, I will try and just keep it down in general, because I do recognise that you live underneath me.
Oh, I think we might be having connectivity issues. 2 seconds.
Sorry, Geoff, bear with us.
That's all right. That's okay.
We're at the mercy of IT here. Tommy obviously hasn't left the meeting. He's just having IT issues. Perhaps he may run out of battery. He might need to charge his phone or something.
Geoff, did you want to take this opportunity perhaps to grab yourself a drink or a cup of tea? I noticed you having some water, so you might want to quickly top up your water glass.
No, it's okay. Okay. perhaps I need to go and order coffee.
Yeah, we have lost Tommy now. He has actually left. So
He probably not paying his bill.
but what we'll do, Kay, we'll try and get him back in. We might call him and just see if he's okay, and we'll take it from there.
Sure, I'll just quickly go and call him.
So welcome back, Tommy. These things happen. Sorry, Geoff. But Tommy, are you good to go now? How's the battery?
Yeah, so yeah, sorry about those tech issues. I'll just pick up where I left off if that's okay with Geoff
That
and
would
everyone.
be perfect. Thank you.
Brilliant. Yeah, so I think I was saying that I don't think I'm that noisy in general, but I recognise that everyone's got different tolerances, and I will try and keep it down. I can, because I'm not going to say that I'm never going to have people round, for parties and things after the West Ham games and things like that. But what I can do is I can maybe tell Geoff, as long as he promises to be respectful of me and not start yelling at me or anything like that, I can let Geoff know, tomorrow there's a game on and I might have some people round,
Okay. So
and
we don't, sorry to interrupt you there, Tommy, but we don't have to start looking for solutions right this minute, because we kind of do that after the break. But it does sound like as if you're both in a really different place now. I've noticed that you're both keen and having that wonderful communication, that wonderful conversation. Tommy, you reminded me when you said about the West Ham game, because I'm very mindful that there's a slightly interesting game on Sunday when England are playing. So obviously that will be a tester for everything. But if at this point you just kind of perhaps just focus on agreeing what the issues are. And it sounds like that basically the issue just seems to be, so that there wasn't an issue with noise. You were moving in, Tommy, and then the thing with you felt that both of you weren't being respectful to the other, and it sounds like Geoff has really missed his upstairs neighbour Doris. So I can understand that. So perhaps at this point, if we don't problem solve, but just to have that conversation between the both of you about what you agree the issues are.
like I kind of said in my uninterrupted time, I kind of dispute quite how bad it's being portrayed as being, but people have different tolerances. If noise is an issue, fine. I'm happy to work on that. Smoke, that's not something I'm going to change in my flat, but if it's an issue for him, I'm not going to dispute that he dislikes it. But yeah, the main issue for me, that I hope he would acknowledge, agree, is the respect and talking thing. I feel that a lot of that is directed at me because of my, the fact I'm not working and that kind of thing. I see that as an issue, and obviously when my back is up, I might reciprocate. So, but that for me is an issue, and I would agree with everybody here that that is definitely something that I think should be worked on.
Okay, lovely. And Geoff?
Yeah, thanks, Tommy. And I know sometimes I do get annoyed. I do miss Doris a great deal. I don't know, it's something that I like helping people. So I'll probably say, and I fully respect it, how frustrating if you're not working. And so in it, I want to say, anything I can do to help you. So I know there's a few problems in the flat with Doris. So I don't know how practical you are, but just give us a shout. Perhaps after this meeting, let's have a cup of coffee. At least they can share a WhatsApp number, and then any problems, you never know, we may even go to the pub and watch the England game together. So we can always do that as well. So I do
Hey,
like my
our work
football.
here is done.
I do like my football.
And it was all thanks to the football.
Isn't it always the way? So listen, what we're going to do now, we're going to have a break. It's always good to have a break at this point, but I just want to be really clear what the issues are before we go on the break. And then when we come back, we'll just take those issues one at a time and we'll work our way methodically through them, because it does seem like so much has already happened. But a big part of the mediation is to kind of test kind of the relationship now, the communication now, and what things would be like when you get back home, because it's completely different when you're kind of just when we're in the mediation zone. So what I've heard the issues are, and Kay, please jump in if I'm missed anything, but so the communication has obviously been kind of front and foremost, because if there's issues, the way that's been communicated hasn't always been what is ideal for both of you. You've both mentioned this, and you both mentioned to have a much more respectful kind of attitude towards each other. So I have communication, respect. Noise is obviously the issue. That's what brought you to mediation. I've put smoking down as well, just so that we have a very kind of a smart conversation, if you like, around the smoking. There was something about tolerance levels, which I think it would be useful to have a conversation around that as a heading. And then Geoff has brought up kind of future communication going forward, which is a big part of mediation. So that being said, if you two were able to draw a line today on kind of what's happened, what's brought you to mediation, would you be able to come back in after our break and start addressing the issues with a view to problem solving?
Yeah, I'm happy with that. I've already shared a few things that I'm happy to do moving forward.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't like things being written down, but I know sometimes you need a reference document. So I'm easy on that if we need to have some sort of record of this.
Well, we'll get to that later. That we won't rush that part. We will get to that. It's a big part of the process.
Yeah. So I'm happy. I'm happy to
Lovely.
let's put some specifics down. Yeah.
Excellent. Thanks, Geoff. And Tommy?
Yeah, I'm happy. Whatever the process is, I'm happy to engage.
Okay, so we'll take 15 minutes now, which is a wonderful opportunity to use your facilities, catch a cup of coffee, and perhaps let the phones charge up, Tommy, in your case, so that we won't lose you again. Kay, anything you want to add before we go to break?
No, I think I'm happy to proceed on that basis. I'm really grateful that everyone is also keen on that.
Wonderful. Okay, well, we'll see you on the other side then. Thank you.